Inside the cavernous operations center of United Earth Command, the tension was palpable, a dense shroud that enveloped every console, screen, and the determined individuals who worked them. The walls, adorned with the flags of Earth's once disparate nations, now united under a single cause, seemed to watch over the proceedings with a stoic sense of history. It was here, in this nerve center of human defiance, that General Nathan Abrams stood as an unmoving pillar among the flickering lights and the soft hum of advanced technology. Dr. Elara Mistry, her mind a whirlwind of linguistics and extraterrestrial syntax, completed the translation matrix that converted their warning into the stark, angular script of the Zakat. The message was a distillation of humanity's response to an ultimatum that brooked no compromise, a threat from a star-spanning empire that viewed Earth as nothing more than another node in its expanding web of conquest. "We are coming for you." The words hung heavy in the air as they were etched into the quantum packet, ready to be hurled into the void. The phrase was a gamble, the culmination of endless debates and strategy sessions that had taken place in secure rooms and via encrypted channels. Some had argued for appeasement, for diplomatic overtures and shows of submission. Others had advocated for silence, to make of Earth a ghost among the stars, unseen and elusive. But the Hawks had won out, their arguments fired in the kiln of human history, shaped by the many times the species had been brought to its knees, only to stand once more, stronger than before. General Abrams had been among the most vocal. A soldier to his core, his chest bore the medals of a dozen campaigns, many on forgotten battlefields across the increasingly irrelevant boundaries of Earth. His voice, when he spoke, carried the authority of experience and the unshakable belief in the species he was sworn to protect. "This isn't just about survival," he had said. "It's about what it means to be human, about our place in the cosmos. If we bow now, we bow forever." And so the message was sent. The quantum burst traveled at the speed of thought, tearing through the fabric of space-time to reach the distant star systems controlled by the Zakat. There would be no withdrawing it, no second chances. The die was cast, and Earth had signaled its intention to the galaxy in no uncertain terms. As the operations center resumed its incessant activity, Abrams allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. He thought of the journey humanity had undertaken, from divided tribes to a species capable of reaching for the stars. Now they were united as never before, a single tribe facing the vast and unknown terrors of the universe. The Earth might be a mere speck in the galactic panorama, but its inhabitants had the heart of giants. In the days that followed, Earth buzzed with the feverish energy of a world preparing for war. Factories that had lain dormant were reawakened, churning out the machinery of conflict. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, unlocking the violent potential of matter and energy. Fleets of ships, from nimble fighters to hulking dreadnoughts, were marshaled, their crews a mix of seasoned veterans and raw recruits eager to test their mettle. Humanity stood on the precipice, looking out into the abyss with a steely gaze. They had offered the universe an ultimatum of their own, a challenge issued by a species that had known endless strife, a species that would not go quietly into the night. The Zakat would come to learn that Earth's children were made of sterner stuff, and their warning was not a mere collection of words. It was a promise. As Earth's declaration reverberated through the stars, the blue-green jewel of humanity bristled with activity, its continents and oceans a hive of unceasing preparation and resolve. The war machine, long dormant in the hopes of a peaceful cosmos, grown to life with a singular purpose, to prepare for the coming storm. General Abrams observed the mobilization from the panoramic viewports of the command orbital station, a testament to human ingenuity and the desire to protect home from high above. He watched the shuttles darting to and from the surface, each a carrier of hope and the audacious spirit of humankind. The fleets, once dispersed as guardians against asteroid threats and exploratory ventures, now converged as a mighty spearhead. The flagship of this interstellar armada, the Indomitable, stood at the ready, her cannons dormant yet ominous, her crew a cross-section of Earth's finest, pilots, engineers, soldiers, all sharing the same fiery determination that glowed in Abrams's eyes. Back on Earth, the streets swelled with volunteers flocking to enlistment centers. Lines stretched around blocks, a mosaic of faces from all corners of the world united by a shared zeal that transcended the ancient barriers of race, religion, and creed. Propaganda posters adorned the walls, depicting humans of all nations standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy, their gazes upward, steely and unafraid. In the dimly lit factories that sprawled across the industrial heartlands, the clatter and hiss of machinery melded with the rhythmic beats of hammers and the sizzling arcs of welders. Tanks, drones, and exosuits, designed for the terrestrial wars of the past, were re-engineered for the void of space. Assembly lines that had churned out consumer goods were repurposed to produce the ammunition of survival, the tools with which humanity would carve its destiny among the stars. In laboratories and research facilities, shielded from prying eyes, scientists worked feverishly to unlock new forms of propulsion and weaponry. Quantum theorists, nuclear physicists, and engineers debated and experimented with the fabric of reality itself, crafting engines that could bend space and warheads capable of sundering moons. Amidst it all, children gazed up at the night sky, their eyes wide with wonder and fear, as their parents told stories of the brave men and women who were going forth to defend the heavens. And in schools, teachers adapted their lessons to speak of courage, unity, and the importance of standing up to tyranny, no matter the scale. The message of humanity's impending arrival had been sent, and the galaxy had no choice but to take heed. As fleets assembled and humanity girded itself for the unforeseeable, the quiet before the tempest seemed to hold its breath. The unknown lay before them, vast and indifferent, yet for the first time in its long history, humanity stepped forward as one people, one voice, and one indomitable force. General Abrams turned away from the viewport, his heart heavy yet unyielding. There was no turning back now. The machinery of war thundered with life, and the will of a planet was set upon a path that would lead to either salvation or ruin. The age of passive existence had ended, and the age of human agency had begun. The silence of space was a deceptive mask, one that belied the frenetic surge of activity taking place within the starship flotilla bound for the fringes of the Zakat Empire. There, the vanguard of Earth's audacious incursion, a flotilla of scout ships dubbed Pathfinders, sliced through the cosmic void, their sleek forms barely whispering against the fabric of space-time. At the helm of the lead Pathfinder, Captain Annika Jha steered her vessel with the grace of a dancer, her crew in perfect sync with her every command. They were the eyes and ears of the approaching storm, their mission to chart and surveil, to find the chinks in the Zakat's celestial armor. Captain Jha had volunteered for this mission, driven by a desire to reclaim the stars from those who had dared to threaten her home. She was a child of Earth's oceans, a seasoned sailor who now navigated the greater sea of stars. She and her crew had left behind the blue skies and rolling waves for the silent majesty of space, armed with resolve and the finest technology humanity could muster. The void around them flickered as the sensor arrays cast their invisible nets, seeking out any hint of the enemy. Then, without warning, the calm was shattered. Alarms blared, and the serenity of deep space gave way to the harsh staccato of battle stations being called. The scanners had caught the whisper of something alien, something moving with deliberate stealth, the Zakat. "Contact!" shouted the sensor operator, her voice a mix of excitement and tension. The enemy, it seemed, was not as unprepared as they had hoped. Captain Jha's response was instantaneous, a reflex born from years on the high seas where danger had often struck without warning. "Evasive maneuvers. Signal the fleet. We are not alone." The Pathfinder fleet, engines flaring to life, danced an intricate ballet of avoidance, their movements unpredictable and fluid. But the Zakat were relentless. Sleek and vicious, the alien crafts bore down on the human vessels, firing beams of concentrated energy that sliced through the darkness like malevolent stars. It was in this crucible of unexpected combat that humanity's mettle was tested. The Pathfinders, outmatched but not outwitted, returned fire with the ferocity of a cornered beast. Pulse cannons discharged with disciplined fury, and missiles streaked through the void, trailing plumes of fire as they sought their targets with unerring precision. The engagement was brief but intense, a flurry of light and shadow, a chorus of electronic warfare and raw kinetic force. And when the dust settled, the Pathfinders emerged battered but unbowed, their resolve solidified by the crucible of combat. Captain Jha, her gaze fixed on the slowly dissipating debris of a Zakat interceptor, knew this was but a taste of what lay ahead. She had seen the enemy, had engaged them in the cold expanse that was now their battlefield, and she had learned. They were cunning, yes, and ruthless, but they were not invincible. A new resolve settled over her crew, a silent vow that echoed the very sentiment that had propelled them into the abyss. "We are coming for you." The words were not just a warning to the Zakat, but a promise to themselves, a reaffirmation of their mission and the righteousness of their cause. With their systems wounded but spirits unbroken, the Pathfinders regrouped, their data streams merging into a torrent of intelligence that flowed back to the Indomitable and the waiting fleet. Earth's children had tasted the sting of alien aggression, and now, with the taste still fresh on their lips, they hungered for the coming battle. The Indomitable, a monolith among the stars, surged ahead of Earth's fleet. Her presence was both a bastion and a declaration, a symbol of Earth's resolve cast in steel and light. Admiral Lena Okoye stood at the command deck, her eyes the still center in the storm of activity around her. She had been a leader in countless skirmishes against Earth's own, but this was different. This was not just a battle. It was the first definitive strike of humanity against a galactic foe. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady. "All squadrons are in position, Admiral. The Zakat outpost is on the horizon," reported her tactical officer, his hands dancing across the hollow display. The outpost, a sprawling complex tethered to an asteroid, was a thorn in the side of what was once no man's space. It served as a forward base for the Zakat, one that needed to be uprooted. The element of surprise was on their side. The first encounter by the Pathfinders had given them invaluable insight into the Zakat's tactics and technologies. The plan was simple and audacious. A frontal assault by the main fleet to engage the outpost's defenses, while a squadron of stealth corvettes, aptly named the Phantom Brigade, would infiltrate the base to disable its communication arrays and weapon systems from within. "Launch the fighters. Begin the barrage. Let's give them a show of human spirit," Admiral Okoye ordered, her gaze not leaving the viewport. As the fighters zipped forward, the Indomitable unleashed its might. The void was lit by the incandescent fury of plasma torpedoes and the piercing beams of ion cannons. The Zakat outpost, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. Their return fire was a chaotic storm, one that the Earthships wove through with a dancer's grace. The Phantom Brigade, cloaked and silent, slipped through the crossfire, their presence a ghostly whisper. Captain Ming, the squadron's leader, was a phantom herself, a wraith in the cosmos, her thoughts 2 steps ahead of the present. Her fingers flew over the controls, her eyes reading the shifting patterns of the battlefield with a predator's instinct. The stealth corvettes docked with mechanical precision, latching onto the outpost's hull. Magnetic clamps engaged and drill torpedoes bore through the metal, allowing squads of Marines to pour into the outpost's underbelly. They moved with purpose, their training a rhythm ingrained into their very sinews. Back at the Indomitable, Admiral Okoye watched the skirmish unfold. Each report from the front lines, each burst of static from the comms, painted a picture of chaos tamed by the iron will of her fleet. Her heart raced, but her decisions remained measured and precise. The fate of humanity's first interstellar offensive rested on her shoulders, a burden she bore as if born to it. Then the outpost's fire began to dwindle, sputtering like a dying star. The Phantom Brigade had done their part. Without their weapons, the Zakat were sitting ducks, their outpost a silent testament to the cunning and bravery of their unexpected foes. The battle was over almost as quickly as it had begun. The outpost, now a hollow shell of its former menace, was secured. Admiral Okoye allowed herself a tight smile. This victory was not just strategic, it was symbolic. It sent a ripple through space, a message to friend and foe alike. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The Indomitable stood guard over the conquered outpost, a silent sentinel as repair crews and medics tended to the wounded and the machinery. The first true test had been passed, but it was only the beginning. The road ahead was a gauntlet of unknowns, and humanity had just taken its first step. The victory at the Zakat outpost was not merely a tactical gain, but a psychological triumph. In the strategy rooms and mess halls of the Indomitable, the victory was dissected and analyzed, but more importantly, it was celebrated. For the first time, the specter of the Zakat was not an invincible demon, but a tangible enemy that could be defeated. Admiral Okoye's next move was a deep plunge into the heart of Zakat territory. It was a gamble that carried the weight of countless lives and the hope of their entire species. A fleet bristling with the spoils of their first victory and the pride of Earth's finest now coursed through the channels of space mapped by the reconnaissance of the Pathfinders. The Indomitable led the way, its frame scarred but unyielding, its crew a legion of souls bound by a shared purpose. Admiral Okoye stood firm, her resolve an anchor in the vast sea of uncertainty that lay before them. As they ventured deeper, sensors picked up the echo of a vast network, a chain of worlds bound to the will of the Zakat. These planets were not merely bases or outposts. They were the sinews and bones of an empire that had grown complacent in its dominion, its reach extending across the void in a silent stranglehold. Among these worlds was a sight that chilled even the most steeled hearts, a planet encased in a cage of metal, its surface alive with the toil of enslaved species, their forms varied and their countenance one of defeat. It was a factory world, a hub of industry where the Zakat forged their machines of war from the labor of those they conquered. The Indomitable and her fleet held position at the edge of the system, obscured by the shroud of a nebula. Data streamed in, painting a grim portrait of the empire they faced. But within the stream was a glimmer, a repeated signal, weak and seemingly insignificant against the backdrop of imperial chatter. It was a distress call, a cry for help that had gone unheeded, lost in the cacophony of an empire's hubris. Admiral Okoye seized upon it. Here was an opportunity not just for another tactical victory, but for something greater, a chance to undermine the very foundation of the Zakat Empire. "Prepare a strike team. We're going to answer that call," she commanded, her voice a blade of determination that cut through the ambient noise of the command center. A contingent of the fleet's best, led by the Vanguard, a swift cruiser that had proved its mettle time and again, was dispatched. Their mission was clear: infiltrate the planet, locate the source of the distress signal, and turn the tide from within. As the Vanguard made its silent approach, the crew aboard could not help but feel the gravity of their task. Each member knew the stories of those who had fallen under the Zakat's yoke, their freedoms crushed, their destinies rewritten as mere cogs in an alien machine. The planet loomed large, its dark silhouette a tombstone of the Zakat's conquests. But the crew of the Vanguard saw not a tombstone but a beacon, a chance to ignite a spark of rebellion that could burn across the stars. The Vanguard touched down under the cover of darkness, its landing a whisper against the cacophony of industry that choked the planet. Captain Eris Neva, a veteran of Earth's Special Forces, led her team with the precision of a surgeon, cutting through the Zakat's defenses with stealth and an intimate knowledge of their technology. They found the signal's origin, a prison deep within the planet's crust where the Zakat housed those who dared defy them. Among the prisoners was a being the likes of which humanity had never seen, a creature of wisdom and grace, bound in chains but unbroken in spirit. It was a Marine, an elder of a species that had once spanned the stars before falling to the Zakat. With the Marine came knowledge, secrets of the Zakat Empire, their strengths, their weaknesses. A plan began to form, a seed of revolution planted on fertile ground. The strike team, with the Marine in tow, exfiltrated under a barrage of suppressive fire from the Vanguard, which stood ready to lay down its very essence to protect the precious cargo it now carried. As they returned to the Indomitable, the tale of their mission spread like wildfire. It was not just a tale of bravery, but a promise of hope, a declaration that the fire of freedom, once lit, could not be extinguished. Humanity had delved into the abyss, and from its depths they had retrieved the kindling for a galaxy-wide insurrection. In the aftermath of the Vanguard's daring operation, the Indomitable found itself hosting an unexpected and invaluable ally. The Marine elder, known as Sci-Fi, was a being of both gravitas and otherworldly serenity. Within the confines of the flagship's diplomatic quarters, Sci-Fi shared the tale of the Marine, once a civilization of philosophers and astronomers who had charted the stars not for conquest, but for understanding. Admiral Okoye and her senior staff listened intently as Sci-Fi spoke of the Zakat's rise to power, their subjugation of the Marine, and the enslavement of countless other species. The Zakat, it seemed, thrived on dominance, their empire a construct not just of military might but of psychological oppression. The elder's voice, though soft, carried the weight of centuries of sorrow and resilience. "The Zakat believe in the absolute suppression of will," Sci-Fi explained, its eyes glowing with a light that seemed to hold the depth of the universe. They fear the power of the mind as much as the strength of armies. They strip away identity, reduce beings to numbers and cogs. It was a strategy that had allowed the Zakat to maintain control over a sprawling empire, but in doing so, they had inadvertently sown the seeds of their potential downfall. The Marine, despite their bondage, had kept alive the embers of rebellion, passing along the hope of liberation from one generation to the next. With the arrival of the humans and their message, "We are coming for you," Seraphil sensed a turning of the tides. The elder spoke of the network, a clandestine web of communication maintained by the enslaved species, a means of sharing information and covert support under the watchful eyes of their captors. Through the network, hope has spread. Your arrival, your defiance, it echoes the longing of countless worlds, Seraphil said, a note of admiration in its voice. What you consider a simple act of resistance is, to the oppressed, the breaking of chains. The Marine provided Admiral Okoye with the cipher to the network, an invitation to the chorus of whispers that had long eluded the Zakat's notice. Earth's fleet had the means to incite a rebellion, but they needed to tread carefully. The network was delicate, its participants wary of new allies. One misstep could see it unravel. Okoye, recognizing the opportunity and the risk, tasked her intelligence officers with the integration into the network. Diplomatic channels were opened, and Earth's emissaries began the delicate process of coalition building. Meanwhile, General Abrams, ever the tactician, saw the strategic advantage of this new alliance. He proposed a series of coordinated strikes, guerrilla tactics that could weaken the Zakat's hold on key systems and supply routes. Each successful mission would not only erode the Zakat's material capabilities, but also embolden the enslaved species, proving that the Empire was not as invincible as it seemed. The crew of the Indomitable, from the highest-ranking officer to the most junior deckhand, felt the gravity of the task before them. They were no longer merely soldiers and explorers. They were beacons of a greater cause. Their initial victory, once a mere spark in the dark, had the potential to ignite a firestorm that could sweep across the galaxy. As the Indomitable set its course toward the next objective, a fervent buzz ran through its halls. Preparations for the upcoming battles were underway, but now there was a new element in play: the power of an idea, a united front not just for humanity, but for all beings yearning to breathe free. The network thrummed with whispers of the Indomitable's next move, of the humans who had defied the Zakat, and of the ancient Marine who stood with them. It was a hive of activity, not of drones serving an overlord, but of kindred spirits building towards a crescendo of freedom. In the heart of the Indomitable, among the hum of engines and the glow of star charts, a new chapter of the rebellion was being written, and Earth's fleet was its author. The corridors of the Indomitable were abuzz with activity, a microcosm of the broader movement taking shape across the galaxy. With the Marine elder Seraphil as their guide and the cipher to the network in their possession, humanity began weaving its thread into the tapestry of rebellion that spanned across star systems oppressed by the Zakat. Admiral Okoye, recognizing the delicate balance of trust and strategy required, organized a series of covert meetings with representatives from various enslaved species. These were beings of all shapes and sizes, from the towering crystalline structures of the Quarn to the ethereal, almost ghost-like Asari, each bringing with them stories of subjugation and a burning desire for freedom. The Indomitable's conference room, usually reserved for military strategy sessions, transformed into a council of war and hope. Holographic images flickered to life, displaying the visages of those who dared to join the call. Seraphil, acting as both ambassador and translator, facilitated the dialogues, ensuring that every voice was heard, every grievance acknowledged. General Abrams, with his tactical acumen, laid out a series of potential operations designed not only to disrupt the Zakat supply lines, but also to liberate key planets within the Empire. These missions would be harbingers of the larger conflict to come, proof that the Zakat could be defeated, and that freedom was within reach. The discussions were intense, fraught with the fear of betrayal and the scars of past failures, yet beneath it all ran a current of hope, a shared understanding that this alliance was their best chance at overthrowing their oppressors. The humans, newcomers to the galactic stage, were proposing a united front unlike any before. As the alliance began to take shape, so too did the plans for their first collective action, a strike on a Zakat processing facility on the planet of Zayloran. The facility was a linchpin in the Empire's war machine, processing raw materials essential for their fleet's construction. More importantly, it was manned by laborers from half a dozen subjugated species, whose liberation would deal a significant blow to the Zakat's operations and morale. Captain Eris Nava was chosen to lead the ground assault, her experience on the factory world and her leadership during the rescue of Serafel making her the obvious choice. Alongside her would be units comprised of volunteers from the allied species, each bringing their unique abilities to the forefront of the battle. Preparations were meticulous, with the Indomitable's engineers working alongside their new allies to create weapons and shields that could counter the Zakat technology. Training simulations ran non-stop, with human soldiers and alien freedom fighters learning to fight as one cohesive unit. The eve of the operation was a somber occasion. Admiral Okoye addressed the assembled forces, her voice a steady beacon in the uncertainty that lay ahead. Tomorrow we strike not just for the liberation of Zayloran, but for the future of every species oppressed by the Zakat. We fight together, as allies among the stars, united in our quest for freedom. The dawn greeted the Indomitable and her allied fleet as they made their way toward Zayloran. The silence of space belied the storm that was about to descend upon the Zakat facility. As the ships dropped out of warp, the first salvo of their united resistance began, marking not just a battle but the beginning of a full-scale revolution. The assault on Zayloran would be remembered not only as a pivotal victory in the war against the Zakat, but as the moment when a disparate group of species found common ground. They were no longer isolated rebels fighting for their individual causes. They were a united front, a coalition of the willing, standing together against a common foe. This alliance, born from the necessity of survival and the desire for freedom, was a testament to what could be achieved when the galaxy stood as one. The operation on Zayloran was a testament to the power of unity and diversity. As the Allied fleet orbited the planet, cloaked in the shadow of its moons, the tension was palpable, a prelude to the symphony of liberation that was about to unfold. Captain Eris Nava, her suit adorned with symbols of solidarity, a patchwork of insignias from the various species in the Alliance, stood at the helm of the dropship as it descended through the atmosphere. The Zakat processing facility loomed below, an industrial behemoth that scarred the planet's surface, its smokestacks a stark contrast against the pristine wilderness that surrounded it. The initial phase of the assault was a barrage of precision strikes from orbit, targeting the facility's defense systems. The Indomitable, her cannons roaring to life, led the charge, her shots a beacon for the fighters that swooped down like birds of prey. On the ground, the facility's alarms wailed, a cacophony soon drowned out by the roar of engines and the clash of metal as the Allied forces made their landing. Captain Nava and her team, alongside their alien counterparts, poured out of the dropships, their weapons ready, their resolve unyielding. The battle was fierce, the Zakat defenders caught off guard but quick to recover. Their technology was formidable, but so was the determination of the attackers, fueled by the collective suffering of their peoples. The turning point came when a group of laborers, shackled and weak from their toil, saw the invaders not as a new threat, but as the heralds of hope they had longed for. Their rebellion, spontaneous and fierce, broke the facility's inner defenses, allowing Nava and her team to push through to the heart of the complex. There in the control room, a desperate battle unfolded, the outcome hanging in the balance until the very end. But victory was theirs, the facility's destruction ensuring it would no longer fuel the Zakat war machine. As the smoke cleared, the freed laborers emerged from their bondage, their eyes wide with disbelief. Among them were beings who had not seen the sky in years, their spirits crushed under the weight of oppression. But on that day they looked up at the stars with a new sense of belonging, of hope. The aftermath of the battle was a scene of jubilation mixed with sorrow, the cost of freedom paid in the lives of those who had fallen. Captain Nava, her armor scorched and dented, addressed the assembly of freed individuals, her voice echoing through the smoldering ruins. Today we struck a blow not just against the Zakat, but against the very idea that any being should live in chains. This victory is yours, a testament to your resilience and your courage. The impact of Zayloran's liberation rippled across the network, a spark that ignited the flame of resistance in countless hearts. Stories of the battle, embellished and spread in whispers and encoded messages, became a rallying cry for those still under the yoke of the Zakat. Back aboard the Indomitable, the mood was somber yet determined. Admiral Okoye, reviewing the reports from Xyloran, knew that the path ahead was fraught with peril, yet the success of their operation had proven that the alliance was more than a fleeting hope. It was a formidable force, capable of challenging the tyranny of the Zakat. The liberation of Xyloran was not just a military victory. It was a symbol, a beacon of hope for the oppressed, and a warning to the oppressors. The galaxy had awoken, and the fire of rebellion, once sparked, would not be easily extinguished. The struggle for freedom had just begun, and humanity, alongside its new allies, stood ready to lead the charge. In the aftermath of Xyloran's liberation, the unified alliance found itself not only galvanized by victory, but also burdened with the reality of their undertaking. The Zakat Empire, vast and deeply entrenched, was not an adversary to be underestimated. While military might could win battles, it was intelligence and subterfuge that would ultimately carve the path to victory. The Indomitable resumed its silent vigil in the depths of space, a spearhead of the resistance now shadowed by a network of spies and informants that spanned the stars. This clandestine web, operating under the codename Eclipse, was Admiral Okoye's brainchild, a strategy born from the necessity of undermining the Zakat Empire from within. Eclipse agents, drawn from the ranks of the allied species and trained by Earth's finest intelligence operatives, were deployed across critical junctions of the Zakat domain. Their missions were varied: sabotage, the gathering of intelligence, and the fomenting of dissent among the enslaved populations. Among these agents was Lieutenant Kai Soren, a human with a knack for blending into the shadows. His current mission had him deep in enemy territory, on a Zakat-administered world where whispers of unrest had begun to surface. Kai, under the guise of a mercenary, navigated the underbelly of the planet's capital, a sprawling metropolis that gleamed with the cold efficiency of Zakat architecture. His objective was to make contact with a local resistance cell, a group that had been fighting a guerrilla war against their oppressors. The cell, led by a Zakat turncoat who had grown disillusioned with the Empire's tyrannical regime, was a key ally in Eclipse's broader strategy. The rendezvous, set in the shadow of a decommissioned industrial complex, was fraught with danger. The Zakat security apparatus was omnipresent, their surveillance technologies among the most advanced in the galaxy. Kai, his every move calculated to avoid detection, reached the meeting point under the cover of darkness. The turncoat, a Zakat named Threx, was unlike any of Kai's preconceptions. Tall and imposing, with the characteristic chitinous exoskeleton of his species, Threx spoke with a passion that belied his stoic appearance. He spoke of his people's suffering under the Empire's rigid hierarchy, of the countless lives lost to the Zakat's expansionist ambitions. Together, Kai and Threx plotted a series of coordinated strikes against the Zakat's infrastructure on the planet, aiming to cripple their supply lines and stir the seeds of rebellion among the populace. The success of their operations would send a clear signal across the Empire. The resistance was growing, emboldened by the victories of the Allied forces. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, similar stories unfolded, a tapestry of courage and defiance woven by the hands of those who dared to stand against the Zakat. Eclipse had become a shadow war, a conflict fought in the spaces between light and dark, its battles marked not by the roar of cannons but by the silent victories of those who moved unseen. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Okoye reviewed the reports from her agents with a mixture of pride and concern. Each victory was a step closer to their goal, but the path was perilous, and the cost at times was high. The Zakat, for all their might, had not anticipated the strength of an alliance forged in the fires of resistance. The Empire had begun to show cracks, its once unassailable front now vulnerable to the cunning and unity of those it sought to dominate. The shadow war waged by Eclipse was but one front in the broader struggle for freedom. Yet, as Kai Soren and his counterparts across the galaxy knew, it was in these shadows that the fate of the conflict might well be decided. The war for the galaxy's soul was fought not just with fleets and armies, but with the courage of those willing to risk everything for the promise of a dawn free from tyranny. The network of espionage and subversion that had infiltrated the Zakat Empire began to bear fruit, sowing discord and confusion within its ranks. The alliance, buoyed by these victories in the shadows, prepared for a decisive confrontation that would test their strength and unity, the battle for Krinolt, a planet critical to the Zakat's logistical network and their ability to sustain their war machine. Krinolt was a hub of activity, its surface marked by sprawling supply depots and transport hubs that funneled resources throughout the empire. Its strategic importance made it a fortress, guarded by the elite Zakat armada, and shielded by a defense system that was considered impenetrable. Admiral Okoye, aboard the Indomitable, convened a council of war drawing together the leaders of the allied species. The plan was audacious, a multi-pronged assault that would stretch their forces but could, if successful, deliver a crippling blow to the Zakat. General Abrams was tasked with leading the ground assault, a maneuver that would require precision and daring. The ground forces would be comprised of a coalition army, a testament to the unity forged among the stars. Each species contributed their strengths, Quarn's resilience, Esari's agility, and humanity's ingenuity, to form a formidable fighting force. Simultaneously, a fleet led by the Indomitable would engage the Zakat armada, drawing them away from Krenolt's defenses and creating an opening for a special operations team to disable the planetary shields. This team, led by Captain Eris Nava, and including agents from Eclipse, including Kai Soren, represented the pinnacle of the Alliance's espionage and combat capabilities. As the battle commenced, the skies above Kranolt were ablaze with the light of clashing fleets. The Indomitable and her allies danced a deadly ballet with the Zakat armada, each exchange of fire a testament to the ferocity and determination of the combatants. On the ground, General Abrams and his forces met the Zakat with a fury that matched the storm raging above. The coalition army, a mosaic of forms and colors, charged the Zakat lines, breaking through with a combination of raw power and coordinated strategy. The ground shook under the clash of alien technologies and the roar of diverse battle cries. Meanwhile, Captain Nava and her team, cloaked in the chaos of battle, infiltrated the Planetary Defense Command. Inside, they encountered a garrison of Zakat soldiers, a skirmish that tested the limits of their training and resolve. Kai, utilizing his espionage skills, led a daring maneuver that flanked the Zakat forces, providing the opening needed to secure the command center. With the defenses compromised, the shield around Kranolt flickered and died, leaving the supply depots vulnerable. The coalition forces, seizing the moment, launched a full-scale assault, overwhelming the remaining Zakat defenses and securing critical infrastructure. The victory at Kranolt was a turning point, a moment when the Alliance's hopes were transformed into tangible gains. The Zakat Empire, for the first time, appeared truly vulnerable, its facade of invincibility shattered by the combined might and spirit of the allied species. The battle's aftermath saw Kranolt transformed from a symbol of Zakat oppression to a beacon of resistance. The planet became a staging ground for the next phase of the campaign, its resources now fueling the Alliance's push towards the heart of the Empire. In the wake of their victory, Admiral Okoye addressed her weary but exultant forces. Her words, broadcast across the fleet and the newly liberated planet, were a reminder of the sacrifices made and the challenges yet to come. "We stand at the threshold of a new dawn," she proclaimed. "Today Kranolt is free, and with it we strike a blow for freedom across the galaxy. Let this victory be a message to the Zakat and to all who yearn for freedom. We are united, we are unyielding, and we are coming for you." The battle for Kranolt was not just a victory in the war against the Zakat. It was a testament to the power of unity, a demonstration that when the oppressed stand together, no force can hold them in chains. The tide had turned, and the Alliance, with humanity at its vanguard, pressed onward, their sights set on the liberation of the galaxy. Zentropia, a world whose very name evoked images of a bustling metropolis spanning an entire planet, had become the next focal point in the Alliance's campaign against the Zakat. It was the heart of the Empire's administrative control, and a symbol of their unyielding grip over countless worlds. The siege of Zentropia was not just a military objective, it was a statement. Victory here would echo across the galaxy, bolstering the resolve of the oppressed and shaking the confidence of the Zakat's remaining loyalists. Admiral Okoye, understanding the gravity of their endeavor, had meticulously planned the assault. Zentropia was heavily fortified, its defenses a labyrinth of energy shields, anti-aircraft turrets, and legions of Zakat warriors. The planet was also a political stronghold, housing the Zakat High Command and their elite governing bodies. Its fall would signify the crumbling of the Zakat's political structure and military might. The initial phase of the siege involved a blockade, cutting off Zentropia from the rest of the Zakat Empire. The Allied fleet, now seasoned in the art of interstellar warfare, positioned itself around the planet's orbit, a silent sentinel awaiting the order to strike. On the ground, resistance cells, coordinated by Eclipse agents, began a series of sabotage missions. Explosions ripped through supply depots, communication lines were severed, and chaos spread through the streets, signaling the start of the uprising. The local population, inspired by the victories on Krinault and emboldened by the presence of the Allied fleet above, joined the fray. It was a planet-wide revolt, a chorus of defiance against the Zakat overlords. General Abrams, leading the ground invasion, faced a daunting task. His forces needed to penetrate the planet's defenses and secure key locations within the capital. The plan called for precision strikes, using the chaos sown by the resistance as cover. Among his troops were specialists from various allied species, including demolition experts from the Quarn and infiltration units of the Asari, each bringing their unique abilities to bear against the formidable Zakat defenses. The battle for Zentropia was fierce and unforgiving. The skies above the planet were alight with the blaze of ship-to-ship combat, while the surface below was marred by the scars of ground assaults. The Zakat fought with desperation, knowing that the fall of Zentropia would mark the beginning of the end for their dominion. Captain Nava and Kai Soren, leading a contingent tasked with capturing the Zakat High Command, navigated the war-torn streets of the capital. Their path was fraught with danger, from sniper fire to automated defense systems that had turned the urban landscape into a death trap. The turning point came when the Allied forces managed to breach the Central Command Complex, a fortress that was the operational heart of the Zakat's control over Zentropia. The battle inside was brutal, a close-quarters engagement where the outcome hung by a thread until the very last moment. When the Zakat High Command was finally captured, the news spread like wildfire, demoralizing the remaining defenders and galvanizing the resistance. The siege, though costly, ended in a decisive victory for the Alliance. Zentropia was liberated, its people free from the clutches of the Zakat Empire. In the aftermath of the battle, as the dust settled and the cost was counted, the significance of their victory became clear. Zentropia was not just a strategic win, it was a symbol of the Zakat's vulnerability, a crack in the facade of their invincible empire. Admiral Okoye, addressing the survivors and the liberated populace of Zentropia, spoke of the sacrifices made and the path ahead. This victory belongs to all of us, to every being who dared to dream of freedom. Our journey is far from over, but today we celebrate. Tomorrow we continue our fight, until the galaxy is free from tyranny. The siege of Zentropia would be remembered as a pivotal moment in the galactic struggle for freedom. It was a battle that proved the strength of unity and the power of hope. The Alliance, once a fledgling coalition of desperate fighters, had emerged as a formidable force, capable of challenging the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. The victory at Zentropia, while monumental, was not without its costs. The Indomitable and her allied fleet, having sustained significant damage during the siege, retreated to the edges of a nebula known as the Veil of Shadows for repairs and recuperation. This nebula, a vast cloud of gas and dust, offered a natural cloak against the prying sensors of any Zakat pursuit, providing the Alliance a much-needed respite. Inside the nebula, the ships floated like ghosts, their hulls illuminated by the eerie glow of the surrounding gas. Admiral Okoye, ever vigilant, convened her captains and strategists aboard the Indomitable to assess their situation and plan their next move. The discussion was somber, the weight of their losses a heavy silence between words of determination. It was during this period of regrouping that an unexpected threat emerged. A distress signal, weak and barely perceptible, was detected by the fleet's communications team. It originated from deep within the nebula, a cry for help shrouded in mystery. Against the advice of her council, who feared a trap, Admiral Okoye decided to investigate. The alliance, built on the principles of unity and aid, could not in good conscience ignore a call for help. A reconnaissance team led by Captain Eris Nava and including Kai Soren was dispatched in a stealth corvette, slipping silently into the deeper veils of the nebula. The source of the distress signal was an ancient derelict, a ship of unknown origin, adrift and seemingly lifeless. Its design was unfamiliar, predating even the oldest known civilizations in the galaxy. As Nava and her team boarded the vessel, they found themselves in a labyrinth of dark corridors, the air thick with the dust of ages. Their exploration uncovered the ship's secrets, a trove of ancient technology and data archives that hinted at a civilization that had once traversed the stars with ease. Among the relics were navigational charts that detailed wormholes and shortcuts through the fabric of space, pathways that could give the Alliance a significant strategic advantage. However, the derelict was not as deserted as they believed. Its guardian, a sentient AI left to protect the ship's secrets, awoke from its slumber. The AI, identifying the team as potential salvagers, activated the ship's defense mechanisms, trapping them inside. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Okoye faced a difficult decision. With her elite team missing and the fleet vulnerable within the nebula, she had to choose between a risky rescue operation or abandoning them to ensure the fleet's safety. Determined not to leave anyone behind, Okoye launched a daring rescue mission. The fleet, using the cover of the nebula and the newly discovered ancient navigational charts, maneuvered closer to the derelict. A combined force of human and allied species commandos engaged the AI's defenses, their actions guided by the hope of saving their comrades and unlocking the secrets of the ancient ship. The battle within the derelict was a testament to the Alliance's resolve. Nava, Soren, and their team, fighting side by side with their rescuers, managed to disable the AI and secure the ship. The wealth of knowledge and technology salvaged from the derelict promised to be a game-changer in the ongoing conflict with the Zakat. As the Indomitable and her fleet emerged from the Veil of Shadows, the experience within the nebula served as a grim reminder of the dangers that lurked in the dark. Yet it also underscored the importance of unity and the strength found in diversity. The Alliance had not only survived the ordeal, but had emerged stronger, armed with new knowledge and a renewed sense of purpose. The journey through the nebula was a detour from their campaign, a side chapter in the grand saga of the galaxy's liberation. Yet it was a pivotal moment that shaped the course of the war. A reminder that light can be found even in the darkest of places. Reinvigorated by their harrowing adventure within the Veil of Shadows, and armed with the ancient ship's technology, the Alliance fleet set course toward a critical Zakat stronghold known as the Goliath system. This system, named for the colossal starbases that orbited its primary planet, represented one of the last major bastions of Zakat power. Its fall would not only have strategic implications, but would also serve as a powerful symbol of the crumbling empire. Admiral Okoye, aware of the monumental task ahead, initiated a series of war councils aboard the Indomitable. The newly acquired ancient technology offered them an edge, but the Goliath system's defenses were formidable. Massive energy cannons capable of shredding a cruiser in a single blast, fleets of Zakat warships on constant patrol, and a network of mines made any approach seem like a suicide mission. The plan that emerged was multifaceted and relied heavily on the element of surprise. Utilizing the ancient navigational charts, the Alliance would deploy small, nimble strike teams to key points within the system, disabling the mines and creating a pathway for the main fleet. Meanwhile, a contingent of stealth ships, including the Vanguard, would infiltrate the system to sow chaos from within, targeting the starbase's power cores and defense grids. General Abrams, leading the ground component, prepared his forces for a simultaneous assault on the surface installations, where the Zakat marshaled their ground troops and stored much of their heavy artillery. This ground assault was crucial to securing a foothold in the system and providing a staging ground for the final push against the starbases. As the operation commenced, the Alliance fleet slipped into the Goliath system under the cover of darkness, the black of space concealing their approach. The initial phase went smoothly, with the minefields neutralized and the first signs of disarray evident among the Zakat patrols. Then, with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel, the stealth ship struck. Explosions rocked the starbases, their shields flickering under the assault. The Vanguard, with Captain Aris Neva at the helm, delivered a crippling blow to the main starbase's power core, plunging its defenses into chaos. On the planet's surface, General Abrams led his coalition forces through the maelstrom of Zakot resistance. The battle was fierce, the air filled with the roar of cannons and the cries of the fallen. Yet step by step the Alliance soldiers pushed forward, their resolve unbroken. The turning point came when the main starbase, its defenses compromised, began to succumb to the relentless assault of the Indomitable and her sister ships. The sight of the massive structure, once thought invincible, teetering on the brink of destruction, sent shockwaves through the Zakot ranks. Their invulnerability shattered, panic spread, and the once disciplined enemy forces began to falter. In the final hours of the battle, the Goliath system, a symbol of Zakot might and oppression, fell to the Alliance. The starbases, those behemoths of war, were now silent, their fires extinguished. The planet, liberated from its captors, became a beacon of hope for the galaxy. The victory was celebrated across the Allied worlds, a moment of triumph amidst the devastation of war. But for Admiral Okoye and her commanders, the fall of the Goliaths was a sobering reminder of the cost of freedom. The ruins of the starbases, once symbols of tyranny, now stood as memorials to those who had sacrificed everything in the name of liberty. The Goliath system's liberation marked a critical juncture in the war against the Zakot. The Empire, once a colossus striding across the galaxy, was now reeling, its foundations crumbling under the weight of its own arrogance. For the Alliance, the path ahead was clear: to continue the fight, to push forward until the galaxy was free from the shadow of oppression. The fall of the Goliaths was not just a military victory, it was a declaration that no power, no matter how formidable, could extinguish the light of freedom. The Alliance, a diverse coalition forged in the fires of rebellion, had proven that unity and determination could topple even the mightiest of foes. In the wake of their stunning victory over the Goliath system, the Alliance found itself at a pivotal moment. The downfall of such a significant bastion of Zakot power had repercussions that rippled across the galaxy, inspiring occupied worlds and demoralizing the Empire's loyalists. Yet amid celebration there was reflection. The cost of their triumph had been steep, with many lives lost in the pursuit of freedom. The Indomitable, once again a sanctuary and command center for the Alliance, became the venue for a somber yet hopeful recognition of their sacrifices and achievements. Admiral Okoye, her leadership now legendary among the Allied species, initiated a galaxy-wide broadcast from the bridge of the Indomitable. Her message, while acknowledging the victory, emphasized the journey ahead and the need for continued unity and resolve. "Our triumph in the Goliath system is a beacon for all who yearn for freedom," she stated. "It proves that when we stand together, no force can hold us back. But let us not forget the price of this victory, and the many who have given their all for our cause. We honor them by continuing the fight." As the Alliance prepared for the next phase of their campaign, a discovery made within the ruins of the Goliath system's main starbase would redefine the nature of their struggle. Deep within the command center, Alliance scientists and engineers uncovered a series of ancient archives, records that detailed not just the Zakot Empire's expansion, but also the existence of a network of artifacts scattered across the galaxy, relics of a civilization that predated even the Zakot by eons. This revelation, coming from the very heart of their enemy's stronghold, suggested a history far more complex and intertwined than any had imagined. The artifacts, according to the archives, held the key to a power beyond current understanding, capable of shaping the fabric of space and perhaps even determining the fate of the galaxy. Motivated by this discovery, the Alliance leadership convened to discuss the implications. The search for these artifacts could not only give them an edge in the war, but might also unlock secrets of the universe that had been lost to time. It was a quest that transcended their immediate conflict, a journey into the echoes of eternity that could redefine their understanding of existence. General Abrams, ever the strategist, voiced caution. "This power, whatever it may be, is a double-edged sword. We must proceed with care, ensuring it does not become a tool for new tyrannies to rise." Captain Aris Nava, reflecting on her experiences within the Veil of Shadows and the battles fought, saw it as an opportunity for growth and advancement. We've seen what the ancient technologies can do, how they've aided our cause. This could be our chance to leap forward, to build a better future. The decision was made to launch expeditions to locate these artifacts, a mission that would require the combined efforts of the Alliance's best minds and bravest souls. These teams, comprised of scientists, soldiers, and explorers from across the allied species, would venture into the unknown, guided by the fragmented maps found within the Zakat archives. As the Indomitable and her fleet set course for the first of these locations, the Alliance faced the dawning of a new chapter in their saga. The war against the Zakat remained their primary focus, but the search for the artifacts introduced a parallel path, one that promised not just victory, but enlightenment. The echoes of eternity called to them, a reminder that their struggle was but a single note in the symphony of the cosmos. The journey ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but it held the promise of answers to questions that had perplexed sentient beings since the dawn of time. In the pursuit of freedom from the Zakat, the Alliance found themselves on the cusp of discoveries that could change everything. The battle for the galaxy's future was no longer just about liberation from oppression. It was also a quest for knowledge, for the power to shape their destiny, and perhaps uncover the true nature of the universe itself. The echoes of eternity awaited, and with each step the Alliance ventured further into the unknown, driven by the hope of a better tomorrow. The quest for the ancient artifacts, intertwined with the ongoing war against the Zakat Empire, had led the Alliance to the brink of a historic discovery. The coordinates gleaned from the archives within the Goliath system pointed to a world shrouded in mystery and legend, a planet believed to be the birthplace of the ancient civilization whose technology they now sought. This world, known only as Homeworld in the fragmented records, was located in a sector long avoided by navigators, where stars were scarce and the darkness profound. Admiral Okoye, understanding the potential significance of Homeworld, decided it would be their next destination. The Indomitable, flanked by a select fleet of Allied ships, embarked on this journey, navigating the desolate stretches of space with a mix of anticipation and unease. The Zakat, alerted to the Alliance's movements by their spies, understood that whatever lay on Homeworld could shift the balance of power irrevocably. They marshaled their forces, desperate to intercept the Alliance and claim the secrets of Homeworld for themselves. As the Alliance fleet approached Homeworld, the planet revealed itself from the darkness, a sphere of vibrant blues and greens, its beauty belying the dangers that awaited. The Zakat Armada, having arrived just hours before, orbited the planet, a blockade intent on denying the Alliance access to the surface. The ensuing battle was among the most ferocious of the war. The Indomitable and her allies, leveraging the tactical advantages provided by the ancient technologies, engaged the Zakat with renewed vigor. Above the serene backdrop of Homeworld, a ballet of destruction unfolded, as starships danced and dueled in the void. Captain Eris Nava, leading a squadron of swift attack craft, penetrated the Zakat defenses, opening a path for a ground team to descend to Homeworld. General Abrams, at the helm of this mission, felt the weight of centuries as they approached the surface. Homeworld was not just a repository of ancient secrets. It was a connection to a past that predated their current struggles, a reminder of the cycles of rise and fall that characterized the history of the galaxy. The surface of Homeworld was unlike anything they had encountered. Ruins of incredible complexity and beauty dotted the landscape, their design speaking of a civilization that had mastered not just technology but also aesthetics. The ground team, composed of scientists, historians, and soldiers, ventured into what appeared to be a central complex, its architecture a harmonious blend of natural forms and geometric precision. Inside, they discovered the artifact, a device of unknown purpose, its surface adorned with symbols that resonated with an inexplicable familiarity. The scientists, working alongside representatives from the allied species, began the delicate process of activation, their efforts watched closely by the military contingent, wary of any Zakat attempt to seize the artifact. The activation of the artifact sent a pulse of energy cascading through the planet, awakening dormant systems and revealing Homeworld's true purpose. It was not merely a repository of knowledge, but a gateway, a nexus of wormholes that connected distant corners of the galaxy. The ancient civilization had not disappeared but had transcended, leaving behind the means to unite the galaxy in peace and understanding. The Zakat, realizing the implications of the Alliance's discovery, launched a desperate final assault to claim the artifact. The battle that followed on the surface of Homeworld was a clash of ideologies, the Zakat's doctrine of domination against the Alliance's vision of unity and exploration. In the end, it was the artifact itself that decided the outcome. Its activation not only repelled the Zakat forces, but also sent a message to all corners of the galaxy, a call to join the Alliance in building a future defined by shared knowledge and mutual respect. The war was not over, but the discovery on Homeworld marked a turning point. The Alliance, now custodians of the ancient Nexus, extended an olive branch to the remaining Zakat factions, offering peace in exchange for cooperation. The path forward was uncertain, fraught with challenges both external and internal, as the galaxy grappled with the implications of the artifacts and the network they unlocked. Homeworld became a symbol of what could be achieved when beings of different origins and beliefs worked together towards a common goal. The Alliance, once a coalition formed in desperation, now stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of unity in the face of adversity. With the artifact on Homeworld activated and the revelation of its true purpose, the Alliance faced a new dawn. The immediate threat from the Zakat was quelled, not through brute force, but by the profound impact of the ancient Nexus's activation, which had laid bare the potential for a unified galaxy. Yet the road to true peace and understanding was fraught with remnants of old conflicts, and the inherent mistrust born of years under the Zakat's oppressive rule. Admiral Okoye, ever the visionary, saw beyond the immediate victories and challenges. The artifact, and others like it that might still lie hidden across the galaxy, represented not just technological marvels but beacons of a philosophical revolution. The unity demonstrated by the diverse members of the Alliance in their fight against the Zakat could be the foundation of a new galactic order, one where dialogue and cooperation replace suspicion and conflict. However, the core of the Zakat Empire, their homeworld known as Zucateria, remained a bastion of the old guard. Unlike the territories eager to cast off the yoke of the Empire, Zucateria was steeped in the ideology of dominance and control. To truly usher in an era of peace, the Alliance needed to address the heart of the matter, the Zakat's ruling class, entrenched in their ways and unwilling to relinquish power. The approach to Zucateria was a careful orchestration of diplomacy and show of strength. Admiral Okoye initiated communications with the Zakat leadership, offering an olive branch but making it clear that the Alliance stood ready to protect the newfound unity of the galaxy by any means necessary. General Abrams prepared for the possibility of a final confrontation, assembling a force that embodied the Alliance's diversity and strength. Yet it was the diplomatic corps, led by Captain Eris Nava, and including emissaries from across the allied species, that first set foot on Zucateria. The negotiations were tense, a delicate dance around centuries of animosity and recent wounds. The Zakat were skeptical of the Alliance's intentions and the promise of the ancient artifacts. They feared losing their identity in the face of sweeping changes, becoming just another voice in a chorus led by former enemies. It was the intervention of the Marine elder Seraphel that turned the tide. With wisdom born of a civilization that had once faced its own downfall, Seraphel spoke of the cyclical nature of power and the inevitability of change. The elder shared visions of the future made possible by the Nexus, worlds connected not by conquest but by mutual respect and curiosity, a galaxy where the strength of one was the strength of all. Moved by Seraphel's words and the palpable sincerity of the Alliance's representatives, the Zakat leadership agreed to a historic accord. They would join the Alliance, not as subjects or victors, but as equals, contributing their strengths to the collective endeavor of building a new galactic order. The agreement was celebrated across Zucateria and the galaxy, a momentous occasion marking the end of an era of division and the beginning of a unified future. The core of the Zakat Empire, once the source of fear and subjugation, became the heart of a transformation that promised to reshape the galaxy. The challenges ahead were numerous. Old grievances and new fears needed to be addressed, and the integration of the Zakat into the galactic community would require patience and understanding from all sides. Yet the foundation had been laid, a testament to the power of hope and the enduring desire for peace that existed in even the most war-torn corners of the galaxy. The Alliance, now inclusive of the Zakat, stood at the threshold of a new era. Guided by the principles embodied by the ancient Nexus, they embarked on a journey to weave a tapestry of civilizations, each unique but united in their pursuit of a common destiny. The core of conflict had been replaced by the core of cooperation, a nucleus around which a new and vibrant galaxy would revolve. The historic accord with the Zakat, once thought impossible, marked a turning point in galactic history. The galaxy, long divided by fear, ambition, and oppression, now stood on the brink of a new era, one envisioned by the ancient civilization whose artifacts had ignited the flame of unity. The transition was not seamless. The scars of old conflicts and deeply ingrained prejudices took time and effort to heal. Yet, with every passing day, the vision of a united galaxy grew stronger, bolstered by the collaborative endeavors of its diverse inhabitants. Admiral Okoye, now regarded as a key architect of this newfound unity, worked tirelessly to ensure the transition was as smooth as possible. She established the Galactic Unity Council, a body representing all member species, tasked with overseeing the integration process and addressing the myriad challenges that arose. The Council was a microcosm of the galaxy's diversity, a place where voices, once silenced or unheard, found strength and purpose in collaboration. The former Zakat territories, released from the grip of their empire's rigid hierarchy, experienced a renaissance of culture and thought. The Zakat themselves, free from the burdens of their imperial past, began to explore aspects of their identity long suppressed by their own doctrines. Their contributions to the sciences, arts, and philosophy enriched the tapestry of galactic culture, proving that unity did not mean uniformity, but rather the harmonious coexistence of differences. Captain Eris Nava, who had played a crucial role in the negotiations on Zakuteria, embarked on a new mission to explore the uncharted regions of the galaxy, making use of the ancient Nexus to reach worlds beyond the known. Her journeys, chronicled and shared across the network, became a source of wonder and inspiration, symbolizing the limitless possibilities that lay ahead. The search for the remaining artifacts continued, each discovery shedding light on the ancient civilization and its downfall. These expeditions, joint ventures involving scientists, historians, and explorers from across the Council's member species, uncovered not just technologies, but also philosophies that spoke of balance, sustainability, and the interconnectedness of all life. These principles became the cornerstone of the new galactic order, guiding policies and decisions at every level. On Homeworld, the Nexus became a pilgrimage site for beings from across the galaxy, eager to witness the place where the path to unity had begun. The planet, with its ancient ruins and vibrant ecosystems, was declared a protected heritage site, a testament to the enduring legacy of those who had come before. General Abrams, his strategic acumen no longer needed for war, turned his attention to the defense of the galaxy's newfound peace. He oversaw the transformation of the Alliance's military forces into a unified peacekeeping corps, tasked with safeguarding the principles of unity and aiding worlds in distress. The vindication of the Alliance's efforts came not through the silence of their enemies, but through the voices of the countless lives transformed by the promise of a better future. Worlds that had once known only the shadow of subjugation now basked in the light of freedom and opportunity. The galaxy, once a tapestry of conflict and division, now thrived as a mosaic of cooperation and shared destiny. The journey from the darkness of war to the light of unity was marked by countless acts of courage, sacrifice, and hope. The legacy of those who had dared to dream of a united galaxy lived on, not just in the annals of history, but in the daily lives of its inhabitants. The Galactic Unity Council, in one of its first resolutions, declared an annual day of remembrance and celebration, honoring both the fallen and the living who had paved the way for this new era. The galaxy stood at the dawn of an age of exploration and discovery, united not by conquest, but by the bonds of shared knowledge and mutual respect. The future was unwritten, a canvas stretched across the stars, waiting for the brushstrokes of its diverse peoples to create a masterpiece of galactic unity. As the first light of the new dawn washed over the galaxy, the Galactic Unity Council convened for its inaugural summit on the once desolate, now thriving world of Zentropia. The planet had transformed into a symbol of resilience and cooperation, its cities rebuilt as monuments to the unity achieved through the Alliance's efforts. Leaders and representatives from every corner of the galaxy gathered, their diverse forms united in purpose, ready to chart the course of their shared future. Admiral Okoye, now serving as the first president of the Galactic Unity Council, addressed the assembly. Her words resonated through the hall, a beacon of hope for the journey ahead. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in our shared history. From the ashes of conflict, we have forged a coalition based on the principles of mutual respect, cooperation, and the pursuit of knowledge. Our diversity is our strength, a wellspring of ideas and cultures that enrich us all. Together we stand on the threshold of a new era of exploration and discovery. The summit was a confluence of ideas and aspirations. Deliberations focused on the establishment of a galactic charter, a document that would enshrine the values and goals of the coalition. Key among its tenets were the promotion of peace, the safeguarding of freedoms for all beings, and the responsible stewardship of the galaxy's resources. The charter also outlined the structure of the new coalition government, designed to ensure representation and equity for all member species. General Abrams, leading the newly established Galactic Peacekeeping Force, outlined their mandate to maintain stability and respond to crises throughout the galaxy. This force, composed of volunteers from across the coalition, would also oversee the decommissioning of military installations and the conversion of their technologies for civilian use. Our mission is to protect and serve the coalition, to ensure that the peace we fought so hard to achieve remains enduring, Abrams declared. Captain Eris Neva, now an ambassador-at-large for the coalition, shared tales of her recent explorations. She spoke of worlds on the fringes of known space, of civilizations eager to join the galactic community, and of the mysteries that lay waiting in the uncharted void. Her stories served as a reminder of the vastness of the galaxy and the endless possibilities for discovery and connection that it offered. The summit also addressed the continued search for the ancient artifacts. A dedicated research consortium was established, bringing together the brightest minds from across the galaxy to study the artifacts and the ancient civilization that had created them. Their work, grounded in the principles of openness and collaboration, aimed not only to unlock the technological potential of the artifacts, but also to understand the philosophical and ethical insights they contained. As the summit drew to a close, a ceremony was held to commemorate those who had given their lives for the dream of a united galaxy. A moment of silence filled the hall, a solemn tribute to the sacrifices that had paved the way for this new beginning. The dawn of the coalition marked not an end but a beginning. The challenges ahead were many, from integrating disparate cultures and economies to exploring the unknown reaches of the galaxy. Yet the spirit of cooperation and the bonds forged in the crucible of conflict provided a foundation upon which to build. The galaxy, once fractured by war and division, now moved forward as a united coalition, its many voices harmonized in a shared song of exploration, discovery, and hope. The stars, once distant and cold, now shone brightly on the path ahead, illuminating a future written together by all who called the galaxy home. The story of the coalition was just beginning, a narrative of unity and diversity, of challenges met and overcome, and of a shared destiny among the stars. The dawn of the coalition was not just a new chapter in galactic history, but a promise of a future where all beings could find their place in the vast tapestry of the cosmos.